Welcome to Bible for Modern Minds podcast.
Today we're getting into one of the most raw and just intense personal stories we've ever analyzed. It's a story of a complete life transformation. I mean, it follows decades of struggle that took one man from the edge of major athletic success all the way to suicidal depression, addiction, and just total ruin.
And the source material here is this single, incredibly extreme narrative. We're not just looking at a recovery story.
No.
It's really about the process of self-destruction, how it had to completely play out before any kind of radical change could even be possible.
It's a story just full of paradox.
Completely. The paradox of potential leading to ruin, and then this spiritual searching that just leads deeper and deeper into crisis. So our mission here is to really trace those specific events that acted as catalysts for change.
Okay, so let's unpack that. It starts with a foundation that, on the surface, looks pretty stable.
Right.
Good family, both parents, a sister. He was baptized Russian Orthodox. He makes this really crucial point. Faith wasn't really discussed at home.
It was more of a cultural thing.
Exactly. A footnote, not an anchor. And by age 11, church was basically over for him.
And you have this spiritual vacuum set against, immense natural potential. This wasn't a kid who was struggling. He was deep into sports, football, basketball, soccer.
And not just casually. He was on a nationally ranked soccer team.
MLS level aspirations. For anyone who doesn't know, that's Major League Soccer, the top tier in North America.
Yeah.
His life was, on a trajectory towards success and structure.
And what really strikes me is how his curiosity, which we usually think of as a good thing, it gets almost weaponized against him right away.
Yeah.
The turning point hits around age 12, and he says it's driven by his own nature of being real extreme. He gets curious about trying weed, even though none of his friends were doing it, so he actually seeks out older kids to make it happen. That's the first move.
And that one move starts this whole chain reaction where, tragically, the early intervention just makes everything worse.
Yeah.
Well, his family finds out. His mom freaks out, probably because of her own background, and immediately puts him into programs. But here's the crucial detail you have to understand.
Okay.
He's 14 years old, and he gets placed in these outpatient counseling sessions with 18-year-old heroin addicts.
Wow. Okay, so that sounds more like an introduction than a deterrent.
Precisely. He says it himself. It only fed that curiosity. Instead of scaring him, it made him want to try the harder drugs.
So it just escalated.
Fast. By 15, he's in a 2-part rehab in Utah. Part of it was this really challenging wilderness program, hiking 5 miles a day in the Moab Desert, making his own tent.
And how did he react to that?
Surprisingly, he says it was one of the best experiences of his life, a real sense of freedom.
So that wilderness experience seems like it unlocked something in him, maybe a desire for something more, even if he didn't know how to handle it.
I think so, because when he moves from the desert to the inpatient part of the program, he just dives headfirst into this intense spiritual exploration, gets into Buddhism.
Okay. But this is where it gets complicated.
Yeah, this is where the medical and the spiritual just catastrophically collide. While he's getting deep into meditation and poetry, trying to find his soul, he's also prescribed an Adderall-type stimulant.
Oh, that's a bad combination.
A terrible combination. The intense meditation mixed with that powerful stimulant. It basically just blew the doors open to what he believed was the spiritual realm.
So what's the immediate fallout when he gets home? I can't imagine it was good.
It was severe psychosis. And what's so fascinating is that this profound search for enlightenment, it didn't bring any peace. It brought a total collapse. He went from being a naturally outgoing kid to just completely shut down.
And the darkness, it becomes personal, tangible.
Very.
He talks about worsening sleep paralysis, which is already terrifying. But then there's this one specific chilling encounter. A devil appears in his dream and says to him, "You can't escape from me that easy."
And the way he tells it, he almost started to see these demons as a kind of twisted companionship, even as the addiction just got deeper pills, heroin, self-harm, depression.
And life kept trying to throw him lifelines, but nothing stuck.
Nothing. Around 18 or 20, he does a short stint in jail, then finds out a girlfriend is pregnant. They try to make it work, but the relationship and that whole attempt at stability, it just dissolves.
But even with all that despair, he's still searching for some kind of spiritual high.
Oh, absolutely. Which brings us to this really difficult phase, his deep dive into the New Age world. He's using these powerful hallucinogens, like DMT.
Which is incredibly potent.
Incredibly. And he's mixing that with things like Reiki, energy healing, and having what he calls light being encounters.
And this right here, this is the central paradox that you, the listener, really need to pause on.
Yeah.
He'd have these experiences, right? 3 days on what feels like an enlightened path, feeling connected, even saved.
And then immediately after, he's overwhelmed with the urge to kill himself. He just keeps asking, what is going on here?
So if these spiritual practices, these powerful drugs, if they were really connecting him to something good, why did they always lead back to suicide?
Well, it shows that when the focus is just on, self-elevation or trying to generate a mystical high to escape your reality.
It doesn't fix the root problem.
Exactly. The external experience, no matter how profound it feels, it can't sustain a real internal change. He was looking for a new feeling, not a new life.
Mm-hmm.
And that distinction is just critical.
And that search failed spectacularly around 2012.
Mm-hmm. His best friend, a friend since he was 7, died in a car accident, and he thinks the friend might have been driving to meet him.
Oh, the survivor's guilt must have been just crushing.
Overwhelming. He was, in his words, just over life.
And that desperation, it leads to the climax of this whole section, this chilling, very calculated suicide attempt on the Manassas battlefield.
Yeah. He takes a microphone cord, ties it around his neck, secures it to a Civil War post, walks to the edge of a cliff, and just steps off. No emotion.
But his immediate reaction is what just shatters the whole narrative. The second the cord pulls tight, his first thought is regret.
Instant regret. Oh, man, what'd you do? This wasn't the right move.
Then he describes this bizarre, freezing dream state. Like he's fighting in water and he sees a little light coming toward him.
And this is the part that is just inexplicable. He finds himself popping up from the water below the cliff. He checks himself, and the rope is still tied to the fence and still tied around his neck. But the length of it...
The length of the rope was double what it should have been for the fall. It's physically impossible.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But the personal result for him was immediate and undeniable. He's sitting in a cold bathtub later just crying with this absolute certainty. I knew there was a God at that point. He knew he'd been saved by something outside of himself.
But even that, even knowing there's a God, it doesn't stop the addiction.
No. And this is another one of the painful paradoxes he kept using for 4 more years until he was about 22 or 23. It really shows that, intellectually accepting something is a world away from actually surrendering your will.
He did try to build a better life, though. He enrolled in massage therapy school, a real concrete step to support his child, even while he was still heavily addicted.
And he almost made it. He got through the whole program.
Almost.
3 days before graduation, his past just destroys his future. He gave drugs to a girl, she overdosed, and she told the police.
Which led to a distribution charge.
And because massage therapists have to register with nursing boards,
Yeah.
that one charge just blew up his entire career path.
Yeah.
All that effort, gone.
So that leads to 18 months in jail. And while he's locked up, he hits this new rock bottom. He realizes, I'm older, I have this kid, I'm done.
The seed of a real, exhausted surrender was finally planted.
But the suffering wasn't over.
Not even close.
Yeah.
When he gets out, this second downward spiral begins. And it's so rapid and destructive, it almost feels targeted.
Okay, what happened?
He gets his license back after 5 years. 4 days later, he hits a fire truck and gets a DUI.
4 days. Wow. It gets worse, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. 3 weeks after that, he buys a new car. He ignores his gut feeling, ignores his dad's warnings. He's driving with illegal tags. And 20 minutes later,
A huge collision.
a car comes flying over a hill, hits him as he's pulling out. He gets arrested. Again.
And that was it.
That was everything. Lost his job, lost the basement he was renting. He becomes homeless, literally sleeping in the woods behind a TGI Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
He said, God took everything.
Yeah.
It was the stripping away of every single support system.
And what's so remarkable is his spiritual state during that time. For a full year, while he's homeless, living in a tent, actively using, his heart was also, as he puts it, burning for Jesus to save me.
He's crying out for rescue while he's physically destroying himself.
That paradox, praying and relapsing at the same time, it just speaks to that immense struggle, doesn't it, between the will and the desire for deliverance.
And the spiritual warfare just climaxed during his homelessness. A couple of really terrifying incidents.
The first one was in Erie, Pennsylvania. He's experiencing sleep paralysis next to his uncle. He's watching American Pickers on TV.
And suddenly the host's voices change. They become these demonic voices saying, his name is Josh, he's from Virginia, we have to destroy him.
And that was immediately followed by
This powerful, visceral urge to kill his sleeping uncle. He actually starts to do it before his uncle wakes up and sees him standing there. He was completely out of control.
And the final dark vision.
He's at the homeless camp. He smokes K2 synthetic cannabis, known for causing these awful hallucinations, and he overdoses.
What did he see?
He had a vision of a hallway lined with these short, ugly demons in robes, and they're all just laughing at him. He follows one to a big door, and the demon turns, smiles, and says, "One more step, you're almost there."
And he realized he was on the edge of death and damnation.
Exactly. He turned around, woke up just soaked in sweat.
That terror, combined with this feeling that his life was genuinely ending, that led to the final act.
The final fatalistic act. He decides to use one last time before trying rehab. He mixes a dose of heroin that he knew was too much to do all at once.
But this time was different.
This time was different. Before he injected it, he had that sincere moment of surrender. He looked at the drugs and just said to God, "Jesus, I don't know what you want from me. This is all I know."
And he injected it.
He injected the fatal dose while reciting the Lord's Prayer, and his last word was, "Forgive me."
And he wakes up in an ambulance. Alive, but under arrest for everything. 8 years of prison time hanging over his head. The officer puts him on suicide watch, which he says made jail 50 times worse.
But the real turning point wasn't the arrest or the suicide watch. It was a call from his mom.
What did she say?
She just asked him point blank, "You almost died again. Are you happy?" And he said in that moment, the full weight of his ruined life just hit him.
So he spends the next 5 days obsessively repeating the only prayer he really knew, the sinner's prayer.
Feeling just this tiny 2% increase of hope each time. His prayer became so simple. "God, if you get me out of this, I just want to be a good boy."
And the confirmation that something was actually changing came in an unexpected way.
Very. He joins the Christian program of the jail, even though people warned him it was a cult. He was literally about to walk out when he heard a voice say, "Why don't you just try?"
So he stays.
He stays. He asks for a Bible, opens it randomly to Psalm 18, and this is the detail that hooked him. It was the exact same passage he had randomly read in the chapel a week earlier.
And the transformation itself.
Yeah.
This is the most important insight here. It wasn't some big emotional rush.
No fireworks moment at all. He said after 1 or 2 weeks of just genuinely trying, he looked up one day and I wasn't the same.
He started to feel a distaste for the old conversations about drugs or women. He just wanted to read his Bible.
It was an unseen fundamental shift in his nature.
Exactly. Not a high, not an escape. And he went from wanting to leave the program to being completely consumed by it, walking around evangelizing and worshiping openly. The surrender was total.
And that commitment, it paid off. He prayed, "If you do get me out of here, I'm going to lay hands on every person I see and I'm going to preach the gospel." 2 days later, his lawyer gets him a transfer to a Christian halfway house. Everything he asked for.
But the path still wasn't perfectly smooth.
No. He gets kicked out of the first halfway house for being late, 5 months into a 6-month program. But when he goes to court, he refuses his lawyer's advice to, word things certain ways.
He just told the truth.
The unvarnished truth. And the judge saw the positive probation report, saw the year without a relapse, and in what felt like a total miracle, he dropped the 8 years of charges down to a misdemeanor with probation. No prison time. He was free.
And then the restoration of his personal life began. He fought for custody of his daughter.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is he says he had a vision of how the grandfather who had custody would react. He saw him just giving up the fight.
And that's exactly what happened.
Exactly what happened in the courthouse waiting room. He gained custody of his 8-year-old daughter.
And his daughter, having seen all of this, she just summed up the whole journey perfectly in a birthday note she wrote to him.
It's incredible. She wrote, "It's like you were dead and now you have a new life."
Wow.
But full-time fatherhood brought new challenges. His daughter started having these nightly rage attacks.
And his response was unconventional.
Very. He'd put her in his prayer room, put his hand on her, and just worship God until she fell asleep. He did this for a couple of months. And the attacks, they just stopped.
Supernatural change.
Completely. It ended with her asking to sleep in the prayer room and wanting him to sing for her.
And finally, his redemption story comes full circle with his marriage.
Yes, he married the girl who picked him up for church all those years ago.
Yeah.
The one who had, as he put it, friend-zoned him hardcore.
And their relationship only changed after she saw the real lasting transformation at his baptism.
And they've been married now for almost 3 years.
So what does this whole journey mean for you, the listener, whether you're struggling with addiction or despair or just navigating life?
I think the core message is that all of those attempts at self-salvation, through sports, through drugs, through a mystical high. They all failed. Redemption only came with a total, sincere surrender.
And he believes that that whole year he spent crying out to Jesus while still using. That was the mercy of God.
Right. He wasn't saved then because he wasn't looking for a new kingdom yet. He just wanted an escape from his situation.
The real change required a change of allegiance, not just a change of circumstance.
And his advice to anyone who feels like their story is just too broken for hope is beautifully simple.
As long as you have breath in your lungs right now, there's hope.
Yeah. But he stresses that you have to cry out not just for an escape, but for that fundamental change, a new life.
And we'll leave you with his final provocative thought. It came from him seeing a video of the rapper Lil Wayne wondering about his own legacy, asking, does any of this really matter?
And he concluded that ultimately, no, it doesn't. Because the things we build here, the careers, the fame, the money, they aren't eternal moments unless we're building it with Jesus and for the kingdom.
It really forces all of us to consider the ultimate non-material value of what we're all chasing. Thank you for diving deep with us.